Hey guys, Eric Coffie here, scorecontracts.com. Welcome to today's live stream. I I'm actually not at home, so I'm actually at a different location right now. So if there's any problems with the microphone or the lighting, please let me know because I need some feedback from you guys out there. So what we normally do is first couple minutes we wait, give people time to get it here into the chat, and before we can start going into the actual session today. If anyone has any questions out there, let me know. Um, so right now what we're going to do, like I said, I just want you guys to know. Perfect. Thank you, sir. All right, Jose, thanks. To you, Flame, thanks for checking in. So right now, like I said, we're just going to go ahead and wait, give people a couple minutes to start checking in. If you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and shoot me a question in the chat. I'm reading your messages as we go along. This is interactive, so feel free to interrupt and ask questions as we go along. So today what we're going to be discussing is how to become an overnight success, 5-step formula. And, we've used this across many platforms with many different people. Chilzo, how are you? Peace, fam. Welcome. And so, like I said, today, are you guys, by the way, are you guys on my email list? Did everyone get the email today that went out? I sent out an email. Some people are some people are on my GovCon Giants email list. Some of the other people are on my subscription list, so I'm not really sure who's on what list. Just want to make sure that everyone received it. So if you received it, just let me know. By the way, if you're just joining us, say hi, shout out, leave a message in the chat. I see there's some people on here that are involved that haven't said anything. So again, like I said, if you missed it in the beginning, we normally wait till about 6:05 to start teaching the lesson. Okay, I got you, Elmer. Did you receive the email this morning? Corbin, hey, how are you? I had an email that went out automatically. It was supposed to hit at 8 o'clock. Hey, Charles, welcome. I saw your email, Charles, by the way. Hopefully today we can answer some of those questions. Okay, Elmer, perfect, great. Good stuff. So any new people that are just signed up for the course who are in the first couple days? I know to you, Flame, you said that you just got the email today. Charles, I know what you're working on. By the way, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, over the last few days, what I did was I gathered, I realized last week when we were speaking and in the lesson, and in the beginning I started off talking about the Q&A, and we ran over our time. And so I would like to shorten these videos because I know an hour is a lot of content and information for people to retain, and so I would ideally, I'd like to make these training sessions about 30 minutes and spend 30 minutes answering questions for people. That would be my ideal scenario. Hey, I don't know how to say that name. Saucy Lips. Okay, all right, gotcha. Yeah. Ideally, I like to make this about 30 minutes because I know an hour is a lot for people to retain. But the information is good, it's valuable, and I want to share it with you guys. But I'm just, again, like I said, this whole thing for me is an experiment. I'm trying to play with it and see what's the best format. It's about 6:04. Um, yes, the live stream will be uploaded automatically to YouTube, and you can go back and watch it. Correct. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Today, like I said, we're talking about how to become an expert, how to become an overnight success, 5-step formula. And the first thing, in my brain when I had the idea to put this particular episode together, what I was thinking about, so a couple things came across my mind is you guys out here, and I say this all the time. I know there's a bunch of new people that are just getting started, and I apologize for the old people who may have heard some of this in the beginning. But again, this is for everyone as a whole to serve the purpose. And I don't know. Sometimes people might need to hear it again, the information, in order to actually take action. So when I thought about this, putting this message together today, it was as a result of some of the phone calls I've received, some of the emails that I've received from people, and even though I've given them a lot of information, again, like I said, they're still asking me some of the same questions over and over again. And we, again, 2 days ago we talked about fear and failure, and then so it's like I'm trying to sell you guys on the promise. And so with that, I want to start off with discussing faith. And faith is simply the ability to see something before it happens. And if, for example, if you plant a seed and you give it proper watering, you fertilize it, and you soil it, then you trust that it will grow into a plant and someday a tree. Many of us did these types of experiments and science fair projects all around the world, and so we know this to be true, right? So you know if you take and you plant the seed and you water it, it's going to become a tree. I remember one time when I was in elementary school that my teacher, she actually gave us an experiment where we put a roach into a jar, as like a single roach, and we put like some crumbs in there, and then it became like hundreds of roaches in the jar. And I know it's kind of a gross example, but it taught me, about how they reproduce and things like that nature. So the point is for me is that some things we can predict the outcome based on experiments. So what do experiments teach us? Um, let's see, who was this that just said something? Davina. Hey, Davina, how are you? Welcome. All right. So what do experiments teach us? So for me, my personal experiments and experiences have taught me something to be true, which is that this government contracting thing that we're all talking about, that we're all confused about, is a real thing, and it's possible for all people. Much like you know how a tree works. I know that if you guys do the activities and do the steps, that you will have the outcome that you're looking for. The results will come. So that's what my experience taught me, and it's taught me also that regardless of age, sex, color, none of that stuff matters. You're able to win federal contracts, and so that's kind of like where I want to start today, and the message. And again, it's very confusing to me when people, even some friends of mine that know me personally, they come to me and they ask me about working at the counties and the state levels, and I'm still trying to figure out like why they asking me that, and so I don't know. Maybe I'm doing a bad job of selling you on the promise of a future where your company's being awarded millions of dollars in contracts. Maybe I'm not showing the right slides or saying the right things. Maybe it's my fault for leaving out a comment or note or something in my message. Like, I'm trying to gather why are they still talking about doing this local, city, and state contracts, because um, one of the reasons why I'm even teaching you guys this stuff is because I know how the cities have hurt small businesses, and I've known how they put people in compromising situations. I know we're all excited about getting our first contract, but it's no fun when you're losing money on a job. It's no fun when the city owes you 50,000 or 75,000 and you've got to make payroll, you've got to pay your suppliers. It's no fun when you can't deliver because the city is waiting on the state for funding, the state's waiting on the federal government for money, and so it just becomes a trickle down effect. So that stuff is no fun. So I kind of, for all the new people out here, if you don't know by now, I teach federal contracting. I don't teach state contracting. I don't teach local contracting. I may use them as examples for people who are curious about that stuff, but the reason why I started teaching federal contracting is because I saw how the cities and the states were hurting small businesses. They were hurting people like us out there. And even today, right now, one of my friends who I mean, he's like the number two guy that does mechanical work in the city of Miami. I mean, he's there's constantly they owe him six figures. I mean, all the time. And so if he didn't have lines of credits and he wasn't fiscally responsible, he would never be able to get from under that. So again, I teach federal contracting. We teach federal programs with federal agencies, and next week we're going to talk about why I like federal contracts. But these are some of the reasons why, and that's why I started with talking about faith and doing experimentation, because I'm trying to get the message through to everyone that yeah, you might see a project for the city and the state and you get excited, but if you get into that project, if you get into the idea into that job, then and they don't pay you because the city doesn't do contracting like the feds, then you'll see really quickly, what I'm talking about, the message. Now, Elmer, fear federal may be concerned that they will have to travel outside their immediate area to work for a job. Okay, that's a legitimate concern that you may have to travel outside your immediate area to work for a job. But and I agree, and you know what? I recognize that concern and I understand that concern. Did you guys, if you didn't read what Elmer wrote, and for the people in the audience who can't read the live stream, one of the subscribers made a comment that says fear of the federal government may be that people are concerned that they will have to travel outside of their immediate area to work a job. Now, yeah, that may be a legitimate concern for people who have service-based businesses. But most of the people that I hear are newcomers. They're trying to do drop shipping and sell products or resell a service, and they don't actually have a huge staff or a lot of employees. Hey, Lewis, welcome. Um, and so, I don't know what that concern is, but I hope that someone can be honest with me and let me know what it is so that we could start, discussing that issue. Um, I want to have an open, honest discussion with you guys about that issue. So let's do this. With that said, I want to do kind of an experiment, right? And like I said, this whole thing is an experiment for me. So I apologize, but I know I was watching like a motivational guy speak, and he said that you have to be able to visualize the finish line, right, in order to put in the effort to get there. So I thought we could practice something like that today, where we went through and we did a visualization exercise before we jumped into the actual lesson. And so what I want to do is this. I want you guys to visualize, and if you want to close your eyes, whatever the case may be, I'm not, there's just clouds on the screen right now. But I want to describe a scenario with you where after months of putting in work, consistently bidding jobs, and talking with contracting officers, you receive an email that you were just awarded a $250,000 contract. You were overcome with excitement, and the joy has brought you to tears because you remember when you were putting in the long hours and endless meetings that seemed to go nowhere. You are also overjoyed because you bid the job with 30% profit margin, and the subcontractor is top notch, so you don't anticipate any problems. You imagine paying down your student loans, credit card debt, and catching up with many bills. The idea of being able to take care of your family, wife, kids on a much needed outing to increase your bonding, your love, and bring you closer together. You feel like you're a contributing member of society, you have value, and are closer to making your mark in the world. You can now see how to become an independent woman, a strong man, a provider for your family. You can see your way out of the hole. Your kids will have a brighter future because of the foundation that you pave. The month is January, the year is 2018. Now open your eyes. And so, um, I say that because like I said, when I was in trouble and I was having a hard time and I didn't have an answer, I imagine myself winning a contract. I imagine myself getting out of this situation. I knew that I've been here before, and I knew that the only way out was not to get a job, was not to file bankruptcy, was to continue working and doing what I knew, putting in the legwork that was needed to get me closer and closer to winning that contract award. We already have a few success stories. I'm going to be interviewing them and talking with them over the next couple days, maybe next week of the holidays, so we can share this with you. But before you can actually believe that you have the ability to do it, you've got to see it first. You've got to see the end result. So whatever that looks like for you, whatever that is, for yourself and your situation, try and picture that end result, and then work backwards to come in and put in so that you know what effort you got to put in to get started. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the 5 steps to actually taking your business and getting into the federal arena is, and again, like I said, we're taking baby steps here. And I know, like we talked about fear, so we're taking some baby steps for all the new people out. The first thing you have to do is create an organization. I know this seems very basic, but you have no idea how many people are watching my channel, they're watching the videos, and they don't even have an organization. They haven't even formed an LLC. So the very first thing that you have to do is create your organization. If you haven't created an organization, go do it. Someone sent me a message today. They watched another video. Yeah, it's a couple $100. I say form an LLC, and the reason why I say form an LLC is just because it's easy to manage, cheap to open, and you can restructure anytime. So I created an LLC, but I filed my taxes as an S corp because it was better for me once you have employees and things like that. But you can modify your LLC as you go. So the very first thing is, you know, go ahead and create your organization. You got to do that first. And I mean, it seems very simple. It seems very like a mundane point, but it's not, because we've had a scenario where I know people who've actually won contracts and didn't even have a corporation. They wrote under the name of a corporation, but they weren't incorporated. So the government could not award them a contract. Sauce Lips has a question. Is it easier for a nonprofit to obtain federal contracts? No, it's not easier for a nonprofit to obtain federal contracts. All right, number 2 technique. Recruit the best people you can find. All right, the best company that you could find. Last week, Charles and I, we went back and forth on that issue. And I say like this: if you're building an all-star team on a video game, obviously I grew up playing video games. Who would you put on your all-star team? I mean, I would take Golden State and then add LeBron James. And football, would you take the Dolphins or would you take the Patriots? So I don't understand, again, why do people decide to work with friends and families? I know it's easier, but just because it's easier doesn't mean it makes sense. Remember, we're trying to teach you how to win contracts, how to become successful. And so it's not just a matter of, get players together and go out there and play the game. It's let's recruit the best possible people that we can, put them on our team so that we give ourselves the highest percentage possible opportunity to win at this game. Because I mean, this is basically, it's a game. All right. Jay-Z said, quote, "I can't help the poor if I'm one of them." So keep that in mind. Don't try to work with your broke friends. Now, this was a question that came up. And a lot of times, the stuff that I'm writing, it all stimulates from questions that people have asked me. And I just try to take the questions and put them into a context of a message for you guys. So it's all coming from message. So they say, look, all right, Eric, all right, where do I find these people? Industry trade shows, conferences, networking events. Every single industry, no matter what product that they sell, every industry has a conference. And so if you go out and you look for whatever that industry magazine or publication is, they're going to be a trade show, there's going to be a conference, and you will find all of the CEOs, the executives, the corporate people in any respective industry. You're going to find them at that trade show. So yeah, obviously it's going to be very difficult to talk to them at their offices. So I'm not going to tell you to go to their offices, but I'll tell you this: the very first government contracting seminar that I went to, not seminar, but conference, it was in Washington, D.C. And what I did was, before the conference got started, just to give you guys an example, before the conference got started, I grabbed the books. They give you those little books that shows you who's going to be the winners and all this kind of stuff, right? So I grabbed the pamphlet and I looked at who were the winners. Do you know what happened before the conference started? You were able to go sit at tables and talk to the winners before the conference started, because no one else bothered even looking them up and seeing who they were. So they were, now after they got up and they spoke, or after they were given an award, then everybody gravitated to them. They became popular and people knew them. But I was the only guy that actually, I'm not saying the only guy, but I know that I was one of the first people to talk to many of the award winners, because they were actually isolated. They were by themselves there, waiting to be presented with an award. So I would go to the table and sit down and talk to them and have a little one-on-one powwow for free. And these were people that ran organizations that were 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars. No one else bothered to take the time to even talk to them. What do people do when they go to conferences? They grab their pamphlets, they grab their little bags, they're getting all the free stuff, they're getting all the free information. But that doesn't benefit you. That doesn't benefit anyone. So what I did was I said, okay, look, I want to meet the people who are doing this. I went through the book and I got the pictures, and I was able to establish a real rapport with those persons, where they were able to give me their contact information later for questions, because I wasn't part of the massive crowd or audience trying to get their autograph or shake their hands after they were presented with an award. I got to them beforehand. So where do you find them? Start off with industry conferences. All right, now Eric, okay, I found the people. What do I offer them? Well, it's like anything else. Increased revenue, new marketing opportunities, the ability to expand and grow their brand. What growing, thriving company doesn't want that? Everyone wants to grow their organization, especially firms that are so successful. I mean, they know better. If you don't continue growing, you're dying. By the way, I see there's some people in here watching. Make sure you wave, say hi, let me know you come in here so I know who's out there. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. So, what are some of the benefits of choosing company versus your broke friend Sally organization? Let's talk about that. Um, so, let's go right into some of the benefits. Number one, they have money. Hey, Maurice, welcome. Guess what? If the person has money, if they're a large organization, they've got cash, they've got lines of credit. Maybe they can even offer to pay you to learn how to help them do this stuff. Because again, they understand that nothing comes for free. Hey, triple three transport. Um, they know that nothing comes for free, right? If you have a 20 million, $30 million company, they don't expect some unpaid intern to come work for them. So they understand the value of that. And when I got started, initially I took a very small, like measly, just cover my bills type salary, just to have to be able to travel, to be able to put gas in my car and things like that, when I was going off and I was speaking on behalf of these particular organizations. But if you work with, hey, Chief Designs, what's up? If you work with your friend's company who doesn't have any money or any resources, well, they can't offer you anything other than, hey, yeah, you can use my license, you can use my certification, blah 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 blah. But besides that, they can't really offer you anything else. Number two, they have resources. What does that look like? They've got staff, they have suppliers, they have managers, they have partners, they have teams. It's going to be instrumental that when you start growing out in the federal arena, start targeting these set aside projects, you're going to have to put together technical proposals. And a lot of times you're going to need someone to review them, to help you oversee them, to even help you maybe put them together because of short turnaround windows. So you're going to need additional personnel. By working with a large organization, they may say, hey, look, what we'll do, we'll dedicate 20 hours a week for a secretary to help assist you in putting together the proposals for these contracts. I mean, that's a benefit that not going to help. It's not only going to help you, it's going to help them as well, because it's going to help everyone further the goal of winning a large contract award. Okay, they have history and past performance. So what happens when you're going out and you're speaking to contracting officers, you're speaking to small business specialists, when you're speaking at conferences and you have your capability statement with their information on, you're the guy, you're the front man for them. Guess what? It makes it a lot easier for you to qualify for large projects when you go, hey, look, you see who's behind me? I mean, this company's been in business this a number of years. They've done this many millions of dollars. They've been this successful. It makes it a whole lot easier with a company that's a monster standing behind you to go out and speak on behalf. It makes you more confident. You can stand up with your shoulders broad and say, look, hey, I know we could perform a $5 million contract. And that's what happened. That's what happened with me. And I mean, I remember when we got started in our organization, we were doing probably, I don't know, a couple $100,000. We were bidding $10 million projects because the people behind me, they did 30 million or 40 million or 50 million, and for them this was just another job. So I knew that I could speak confidently. I knew I had a team behind me that could speak intelligently, that could support me and that effort. And in fact, another example of that is on my most recent project that I'm working on currently. It was, like I said, the entire scope of the project is 17 million. My portion is just under 5. But on this particular building, the architect who did the design, the drawings for what we had to install, they missed a small section of the building, right? It's probably, I'm doing some math, let's say it's probably about 75 feet wide section. The people who, again, the company that I was working with that was doing this helping me put this whole thing together, their engineering department, right? These people I don't have an engineering department. Their engineering department caught the mistake. They sent it to me and said, Eric, listen, this was overlooked by the architect and the engineers, and so we, it's not going to be included in our proposal. And so I told the contractor who gave me the contract, but this is before we signed, and I said, listen, the government, well, not the government, but the company the government hired made a mistake, and they missed out on this section of wall. And they doubted me, and they said, no, it can't be true. It's impossible. They don't make these mistakes. But I mean, this was huge files. We're talking about 1,000 pages of specs, probably 300 pages of blueprints and drawings. So I could understand why he was doubtful or he didn't believe me. So what I did was I said, listen, I tell you what, you don't have to believe me. I just want to make sure that I exclude this area of building from my contract. So before I sign a contract with you guys to do the job, I want to exclude this particular area. Turns out by the time we got to the site meeting, they realized that this mistake had happened, and the contractor who got the job was stuck because he agreed to do the job as whole, and the company who I hired, which was way bigger than me, 10 times bigger than me, matter of fact, the company who I hired, they actually caught the mistake. The change order amount, the value of what that costs, is $130,000. So imagine if you were working with some small company, some small fly-by-night guy, or your friend's company, they would have overlooked that, and you would have had to eat that $130,000 mistake, as opposed to being able to put that on a contractor. Today, that's excluded from my contract, so it's not even a point of discussion. If they don't find the money, we don't do the work, and that's already been established. So again, that's the advantage of working with a large firm. Number 4, benefits. They are progressive thinking. So, like I said, large companies, successful companies, know if you're not growing, you're dying. They understand the power of federal contracts. If you are a $20 million, $30 million organization, chances are you've got people on your team that have already investigated this marketplace. You may not have a dedicated person working on it, but chances are they've already explored it. They know what the potential is. They know the opportunities are. So you don't have to actually even sell them on that. You don't have to convince them on that stuff. They already understand it. The only thing that you've got to do is convince them that you're the right person to work with to help them to start obtaining some of these contracts. All right. And then the last thing, and I think one of this was a question or comment in the chat actually earlier. Someone said, which is that people have a fear of going outside their area. That's again why you work with these large companies, because they have the ability to branch out. They have the ability to work in multiple states, and that is one of the keys to doing federal jobs. Is that you have, that entity, that company that's going to be supplying you with staff or labor or manpower, they're the ones, they're going to have the ability to be able to go across multiple states. So I have complete confidence when working with these companies that, hey, listen, if I want another project in Virginia, can you guys mobilize a team in Virginia? Absolutely. Again, that's the difference between working with someone who has resources, who has teams, who has partners, who has structure, who has organization. That's the difference. And I'll tell you something. I remember the first time where I had these guys working underneath my umbrella, and they said, our boss told us that anytime that we saw you anywhere on the job site, to treat you with the utmost respect, because you are personally responsible for giving our company the contract. All right. And so they treated me with the utmost respect. So again, that is something that you can't get when you're working with smaller firms. All right, guys. Listen. So number 3, take advantage of the biggest government loophole in small business history. We talked about this on day 1. I'm going to keep harping on this. I did have one person email me. She's already been certified in the Mentor-Protege program. So she asked me to make a video on choosing a mentor. I'm going to do that coming up. But the all small Mentor-Protege program is brand new. And Keenan, if you're out there watching, this is for you. I remember one time where I was at University of Florida. I went to school there. I'm a Gator. And I helped found the Entrepreneurs Club at the University of Florida. And when we found the Entrepreneurs Club, it was, nothing like that had ever been created before, right? So it was an organization to help people or help students, that want to go into entrepreneurship, and we, go Gators. And so our motto was, we teach you how to read resumes, not write resumes. And that was our motto. And we actually took and we copied RPI. It's a school up northeast. They had a very successful entrepreneur program, and MIT and some other ones where, they already had, they had hundreds of students that had become millionaires because of their entrepreneurship program. And so what I did was, I had a friend of mine who sold like T-shirts and products, things like that nature. So there was a little loophole in the University of Florida that said, if your organization and maybe you guys don't know this, but you cannot put any, it makes sense, but you're not allowed to put any college team, all that stuff is licensed, there's rights management to that. You're not allowed to put any college team logo on a shirt and resell it without paying the university, right? And then, there's some other rules that go along with that. But at the time when I was there was a little caveat that said unless it was affiliated with an organization. Well, I had my organization, the Entrepreneurs Club, and so what I did was I approached Papa John's and I said, hey, look, I'm going to put your Papa John's logo on the back of a T-shirt and put the Gators, logo emblem on the front, and then we're gonna give it out before a football game so you guys can get free press, and then we'll sell it to you at, let's say, I don't know, I don't remember the numbers, like 50 cents more per shirt or $1 more per shirt. And so they didn't have that opportunity because they didn't have rights to be able to brand college logos. So it was a very unique opportunity for Papa John to partner with us in that regard. So the first time we did it, we got approved by the university. What do you think happened after we gave out 2,000 shirts at a football game for free that the university didn't get one penny off of? They changed the rules. They completely changed the rules on us. So we already had 2 or 3 more companies that wanted to do it because we were literally just giving the shirts out for free. We would go to different frat houses before the game, and we would just literally bring in boxes of shirts and hand them out and tell everybody to wear it, and then everyone had the exact same shirt at the game, Gators on the front and Papa John on the back. And the university killed that program. They cut out the rule and stuff like that. I say that to say this. This all small Mentor-Protege program is brand new. It just was released in 2016. They started accepting applications about 12 months ago. Once people understand the power of this, I suspect that in a very short period of time, they're going to close this as well. Because this is the same program. It was modeled after the 8A's program. It's the same program that effectively or essentially, if you are a 8A company or you're a service disabled business, you can partner with any company, any size firm. You can partner with them to basically, if you partner with them as a joint venture and then they become your mentor, those are the two catches, right? So they have to be a joint venture partnership, and then they agree to be your mentor. That large firm takes on your small business size. So if that company does 50 million a year and you do 50,000 a year, that company now qualifies as a small business, and you guys can bid these huge projects together. I suspect that once people get a hold of this and they start exploiting it to its maximum capabilities, that they're going to also, just like with my University of Florida, they're going to close this loophole. All right, so again, that's why I say work with the largest, most successful company you could find, because if you were starting a brand new NBA franchise from nothing, who would you recruit your team members to be? And from the roster, what NBA roster would you pick your team? All right. So now we already know we're going to set up the company, we're going to recruit good people, and then we're going to take advantage of this all small Mentor-Protege program. By the way, I didn't go into too much detail on that because we talk about this program in day 1. So if you missed day 1, go back and watch day 1 of our GovCon training, and you'll see where we talk about that. So number 4. Start pursuing IDIQ opportunities. I see we got more people in here watching. That's great. Say hi on the left-hand side in the chat. If you can, just let me know you're out there. Start pursuing IDIQ opportunities. I don't believe I've mentioned this yet. IDIQ stands for Indefinite Delivery, Indefinite Quantity Opportunities. And what that is there are multiple year contracts. So the contracts usually range from 0 to 5 years, and then they have a dollar threshold that goes from, say, 0 to $100 million. And some even go up to 15 billion, like the GSA South BMO, which one of my friends, he's actually on that GSA BMO for $15 billion. And one day, hopefully in short order, I'll have an interview with him coming up so you guys can hear it from him, who's actually taking advantage of all this stuff that we're talking about. We talked about doing this stuff many years ago, and he's doing it now. So you start pursuing what's called IDIQ opportunities. And IDIQ, again, you have, say, 0 to 5 years, and then you have, on the other scale, you have 0 to, say, $100 million. And essentially, if you get to, hey, Tell Dixon, welcome. Whichever runs out first. So if you run out of, if you get to the 5 years, whatever money you spent, that's where it stops. If you get to the 100 million in 3 years, then that's where it cuts off. And that's essentially how an IDIQ works. So let's talk about some of the benefits of an IDIQ. So the first thing is you qualify once for a predetermined list of contracts. So an IDIQ is similar to a blanket purchase order. If you don't know what a blanket purchase order is, it's the government lumps together a whole bunch of projects that they want to get accomplished. And they may be, let's say, for example, at a VA hospital. So we were, in 2012, one of the companies I consulted with was on an IDIQ at the VA hospitals, which included Palm Beach, Broward, Miami, and Puerto Rico. And it was a $100 million IDIQ. And what the government did was they said, okay, we know over the next 5 years we're gonna do we want to do these XYZ projects, and they lump them together and they say, okay, once they get to a certain dollar amount, they put them into this IDIQ, and then they have companies pre-qualify, right? You pre-qualify to participate in that IDIQ. If that makes sense, I hope I explained that well. If I didn't, let me know. So you, unlike bidding one contract or one job, you essentially qualify yourself one time for hundreds of jobs, right? Number two benefit of IDIQ, there are a limited number of participants in the pool. So an IDIQ doesn't have hundreds of people in it. I know SATOX and MATOX and other IDIQs that have maybe two companies, maybe three companies, five companies. The one that we were on in Puerto Rico, I think that one had 12 companies on it. The GSA South BMO that my buddy's on, I think there's 34 companies in it in total. But you're talking about $15 billion amongst 34 companies. So, I mean, go figure. So there's no limited number of participants in the pool. Number three benefit, once the pool is closed, no new participants can enter for up to 5 years. So I was working with a friend of mine over in South America, and there was an IDIQ for Peru and all of Central South America. And so when I went to go and try and found out, by the time I learned about it, it was already closed. So now, in order for, even if the most qualified company, the most qualified person, it doesn't matter anymore, because once it's closed, it's closed. So that's also the benefit for you guys. Once you're in the IDIQ, they're not going to allow other people to come into that pool. In contrast, where, like, say, Miami-Dade County, if you are in a list of Miami-Dade County to do projects, they just keep adding more people to the list and adding more people and adding more people and adding more people. So there's no advantage for, like, getting in today as opposed to tomorrow. But in IDIQ, once you get in, you're locked in. The pool is closed until the period of time, and that's it. And number four, no company can do all the projects simultaneously, thus creating opportunities for all firms. So no one company, I mean, again, it's normally when they put these things out, the ones that are most common that I've seen are about 100 million. And by the way, if you think $100 million is a lot of money, the government spends $1.2 billion a day. Just so you know. If you go back and look at day 3, I show you an example in the beginning when I first start talking. I show you an example of all the contracts that were listed in that particular day. All of the contracts that were given out, all the contracts that were given out in excess of $7 million that were listed in that particular day. So if you go back and just watch day 3, you'll get an idea of the magnitude, the scope, and the size of our government arena. So $100 million is peanuts. It's basically crumbs. All right. So again, like I said, they're spending about 1.2 billion a day. They do 4 million transactions a year. So that's a little bit. What is that? 100,000. They do 4 million. What is that? 10,000 transactions a day, something like that. Some crazy number. All right. And so number 4, no company can do all the projects for firms. So again, if you work with the best company that you can find, you're likely to be as good or better than the competition. You're likely to be good or better than the competition in the federal market. The only difference is that they don't know that these opportunities exist or how to pursue them, and that's where the value play comes in for you. All right. And then number 5, rinse and repeat. So once you win an award, the chances of winning becomes astronomically easier, and the entities recognize you. So once you've pre-qualified for an IDIQ, you don't actually, when you get to the IDIQ, you don't actually win a contract, right? So it's not an actual contract that you get. But what it does is people use this and they put in their capability statement By the way, if you don't know capability statement, go back and watch what a capability statement. That's some of the first things that you've got to do. But then what you do is you take and say, okay, because remember you just pre-qualified for it, and I've seen the IDIQ that I helped these guys with back in 012. The documentation that we submitted was 8 pages long. So don't think just because it's $100 million that it means it's 10,000 pages, or it's a Bible, or it's some big book. It's the same thing. You just have to show that you meet certain requirements. I mean, there is a formal process. We're not going to talk about that today because that's not the point of today's lesson. But the actual the documentation that you present to them is the same documentation you would present if you're trying to go after a single contract award. So why not take and go after a multiple year award that consists of hundreds of contracts with that information, right? Wouldn't that be a highest and best use of your time, as opposed to just focusing on, going after bid after bid after bid after bid after bid after bid after bid. So yeah. Now, number 5, rinse free. By the way, guys, this is the last point I'm going to make, so then I'll go ahead and I'll answer all your questions. So you can keep sending them. Rinse and repeat is number 5 step, so it's the last one I'll make before I start answering questions for people. So, like I said, what people do is they win these IDIQs, they put it on their capability statements showing that, hey, I qualify for that IDIQ. And then what it does is it already allows it, because again, remember, the contracting officers, they're risk averse, right? So that means they're afraid of risk, they're afraid of trying new companies. But if you show that you've qualified for an IDIQ, then that legitimizes your business, that legitimizes your joint venture and who you are. And so you'll see right away, you'll start receiving some of the benefits of receiving some of the direct negotiated job just because you pre-qualified for an IDIQ with this other company, right? So it's another sales tool in your arsenal or marketing strategy that you can use and leverage when you're going out and you're talking to people. On that, let's go here. All right, and so I kind of mentioned this earlier, but this is one of the quotes in my book I always tell people, and actually the numbers have changed since then. But again, the government does 409 billion a year, 34 billion a month, 7.9 billion per week, 1 billion, 1.1 billion per day, 46 million an hour, 766,000 every second. So you got to try really hard not to get a piece of that. All right. So now, let's go ahead and start taking some of the questions from you guys out here. Hold on. Give me a second. All right. So someone asked, Corbin, what's your first success story? Well, it all depends, right? So initially I started as a consultant, and so we won several contracts then. And then I went off and started my own company, and I started winning my own contracts on my own. So just, I guess it depends on, which success story you want. The one from where I was helping other people win, or the one where I started winning myself direct contracts. Chief Design, Eric, these live transcripts are great. Is there a way we can call in while you are live to ask questions? I don't know how to do that yet, to be honest with you. I think that would be really cool to do, but I don't know how to do it at this moment. By the way, Chief, if you missed me in the beginning, one of the things that I said I may try and do, depending upon, again, like I said, depending upon the need and how many people continue watching, I am willing to expand to 3 days and 4 days as necessary. I know that interview I did today has brought on a lot of new subscribers to the channel, and so I know that I could see that we're gonna have more and more questions and more people out there. Yeah, no, Google Duo. I don't know what that is. Hey, listen, if you guys have suggestions, send it to me. Send me an email and I'll research it, because yeah, I think it'd be really awesome to do that. In fact, what I really want to do is I want to do a day of just Q&A. So that's my idea. I want to do one day just dedicated to Q&A, because like for example, right now, if you're gonna, once this is uploaded to YouTube and you're watching, you may want to just hear the lesson, and then someone else may just want the Q&A portion, right? So I want to kind of like separate the two. So I'm thinking about doing one day of just Q&A sessions only. Jose Martinez, I know you mentioned subcontracting is a great way to start. How can you reach companies who have these types of contracts, MATOC, GWAC? All right. So I mean, no, I'm not. Subcontracting is only one way to start, and the only reason again, it just depends on your situation. If you watch my video on KPIs, um, if you have everything in place, then I mean, you could go out and do direct contracts. But I suspect that the majority of people out there don't have all their stuff in place, and so that's why I suggest subcontracting. Now, how do you find these companies? Well, if you, I mean, it's if you go to FedBizOps and you type in Maytalk, you'll find a list of Maytalks. There is a website. I don't know it offhand. That's how I know there's 700 plus IDIQs out there. What I may do is I may do a session just on IDIQs because there's some other things that I want to talk to you about IDIQs. I want to actually spend more time on that subject. I do know that this, government contracting it's a lot of facets to it. So it's very difficult to spend just 30 minutes or 1 hour and cover every single aspect of every particular formula. So yeah, there are websites that you can use. I just don't know it offhand. I'm gonna try to get that information, and what I'll do, if you email it to me, I'll put it in one of the Q&A sessions. Maurice Anderson, are there third-party companies to help with 8A, NACS, etc.? Yes, there are third-party companies to help with 8A, NACS, etc. But Maurice, if you're new to my site, you guys know I've never had 8A. I've never had any federal certifications. I don't encourage anyone to get any federal certifications until you absolutely know what the hell you're doing, until you are confident, and until you can go through and look at my video where I said that 8A is a waste of time. Just a few, maybe this week, someone reached out to me and I said the same information, and they said they wish they had known that someone had told them that, because a lot of people just want to sell you services. They want to sell you consulting services. You don't, and why would you need a third party service for NACS code? I mean, I've got videos on NACS codes, I've got videos on all that stuff. So why would you need to hire a third party service? Because if you guys start off right now hiring a third party service to help you with NACS code, help you with SAM, help you with DUNS, stuff like that, then what happens when you get to the more complicated tasks? Who's going to help you with that stuff? Because that stuff, I mean, the videos are already out there to do it. So, I mean, if you can't get the NACS code or you can't do the DUNS, and I'm not saying that to offend anyone, I do understand some people have more money than they have time. So, yeah, I mean, I respect that. But at some point, you're going to have to put in the legwork and do the activities to win your own contract. So, even if a third party service helps you get get the, I don't know why would they help you get NACS code, but whatever. Let's say they help you get your DUNS number, they help you do your SAM registration, and they help you get 8A. Who's going to help you get the contracts? Because I thought the whole idea was to get contracts. So if they help you do all that stuff, you'll be just like the rest of the people that are in the group that have 8A or have these certificates, and they're still coming to me asking me how to get a contract. All right. Thanks for the suggestion on Blog Talk. I'll keep that in mind. Charles, I did not do the interview yet. I haven't posted it. So she actually delivered the materials. What's today? Tuesday. So she actually had the what Charles is referring to for all the people out there is we have a success story from last week. One of our GovCon Giants members, she won a contract, and so she's actually fulfilling that contract this week, Charles. So I don't know, we've got plans to get together. All right, to you, Flame. So it's best to get an LLC, make it an S corp, to do business. No, what I was saying to you, Flame, was it's best to just start with an LLC. It's easy to make and manage. And then as you grow the organization, your accountant will determine what's the best way to file your taxes. And in my particular case, like I said, I have an LLC registered company, but my taxes are filed as an S corp. But that's something that, again, right now, just getting started, just get the LLC up and going, and that way. So I'll give you an example. I have a lot of examples. I hope they help. But so an example, I learned recently about some additional like financial assistance for the hurricane, and my sister, who I helped buy some real estate properties, I told her to form her corporation, to put her real estate properties in. Well, she did it, but she kind of like dragged her feet and did it later. So now there's a grant to giving you free money for business owners to help you if you were affected by the hurricane, which she was. But you have to have a minimum of 1 year in business, and because she didn't form her LLC when I told her to, she doesn't meet that requirement. And so I have a video. It's called 6 Reasons to Form a Corporation Today. Make sure you watch that video. All right. Um, Triple three. You're very interested in what subject? What's your best advice on finding your NAICS code? NAICS code. Well, I mean your NAICS code. So if you've done, if you, so the NAC, the NAICS code. I answered this question in my GovCon Giants Day 12 implementation. So it's a long-winded answer, and that's kind of why like I'm more hesitant about giving it. But if you go through my 12-day course on day 12, I talk to you. It's called implementation, and we talk to you. I teach you about how to define your NAICS code and how to determine your niche. All right. So go through the GovCon Giants course. That'll help answer that question. Jada T. Hi Eric. Does the government care if I'm a new LLC company? Meaning, do they need to see company's experience? No, Jada. Based on the name, it sounds like you're a woman, and actually, woman-owned businesses is the only certification that you can actually get started. You can form a corporation tomorrow, and you can actually become certified as a woman-owned business within a day. There's no 2-year window, so no, the government doesn't care. Now, will the contracting officer care? They might care. Will other people that are looking at what you do care? Probably. But again, I don't know what your business is. I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know what your goals are. But no, the government themselves, they won't care if you form a new LLC. They're not looking at that. In fact, I I don't have anywhere on any of our marketing materials how long we've been in business. Because it's really a mute point. They're more concerned about the fact that you can deliver the job, and that's why I stress the importance of working in the fellow arena. Is because they're more concerned about the fact that you can assemble a team of qualified people together to actually make that job happen. Now, if you were focusing on, say, the local or state level, yeah, they would definitely care. They would make a big deal about all that kind of stuff. All right, Maurice, thanks for coming by the book. Thank you for supporting me. Yeah, hey guys, it's very strange. I've got 180 people now have gone through my course, and 30 people bought the book. I think day 2 we talked about education. What's your philosophy? It was either day 2 or day 3, and then that's what I tell people. What is your personal philosophy on your education? I mean, all the wealthiest people in the world, they believe in education and learning and growing, and they again. When people, that goes back to, they say, well, what was my first success story? I learned about HubZone at a conference. That's how we became HubZone certified. I learned by attending a conference. I pulled my money out and get a conference. I mean, the book's $12, and trust me, it's not for me to make money. It's because a lot of the questions you may have may already be answered in the book, and you can already get this information and help yourself go further in your journey. So yeah, pick up a copy of my book. It's $12, and it's a very easy read. I essentially have put together a list of all the websites that you're going to need, probably about 90% of what you're going to need right now for helping you accomplish your GovCon journey. And it may answer some of the questions. Marlon, I've been watching your videos, and this is my first live video. Hey, welcome to first live session. Glad to have you. 333, I'll be patient. I'm on day 3. Yeah, listen. This is, again, it's your GovCon journey. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon. It's a long race. You got a long way to go, so don't worry. I mean, you can't get all this information in one day. I didn't get it all in one day, so you can't expect to have it all in one day. With that said, I know a lot of people found me from the Advise show, that interview I did recently. So I've been receiving a lot of people sending me messages and stuff like that, which is great. I appreciate it. But what I found was that they haven't actually gone through and looked at some of the videos that I already have that answer a lot of these questions. So for example, if you're asking me about NAICS code, go back in my history. I've got videos on NAICS code already. I have videos on DUNS number already. I have videos on SAM registration. I have videos on 8A. So a lot of the times, what you guys may want to do is go back and just look at some of my older videos, some of my older content, because chances are I've probably answered a lot of questions that you already have. John, thank you, sir. Definitely worth the $12 a book. Yeah, I mean, come on, $12. I'm sure today's Tuesday. Everyone probably that's in this chat room who eats fast food has spent $12 on, McDonald's or Steak and Shake or Chick-fil-A, whatever your passion is, or Starbucks. Hell, you can spend you can spend $12 in one day in Starbucks. Um, Charles, regarding consulting, what should I include in my proposal book? Per my email, I'm on the right track. Well, yeah, Charles, that's a long-winded question. What I'll do, let me look at that, and I'll do, like I said, I'm going to do a Q&A session coming up. It's going to be separate from these live trainings, and then I'll go through and I'll pick like 3 or 4 questions. I'm going to try to keep it to like 5 minutes. That way people can come in, and let's say you're in a hurry, you can go through and watch like a 5-minute Q&A where I answer 2 or 3 questions. And so I'll go through, Charles, and I'll put yours in that one. To you, Flame, I'm buying a book. Thank you. Rico, welcome, brother. Hey, listen, Rico, I got your message. Don't worry, we'll get together. Rico, he's in the GovCon Giants course. He's also in our Facebook group. He actually is from Puerto Rico, and I'm going to volunteer next week. And so actually, I don't know what the service is like in Puerto Rico. I'm flying out Sunday after the holidays, and I'm going to go spend 8 days in Puerto Rico volunteering and stuff. And then Rico and I and some other another friend of his who's worked down there already, we're going to see if we can put some stuff together. So, all right. Jada, thank you. And yes, I'm a female. Okay, yeah, exactly. So you're a female. You can go out and form your LLC. But listen, let's say that it does take 1 year, right, for the government. Let's say if there is a requirement, it takes 1 year. Well, I mean, don't you think you should start forming your LLC today anyway, so that you can start building that year? In the time frame, you can start working on learning how this stuff is, learning about it, and technically to be a subcontractor or to actually be a consultant like how I started, you won't even need an LLC because again, you're going to be selling your services to another firm. So get the year, form your corporation. I mean, I created my corporation in 2007. I didn't actually have to use it until 2012 when I went out on my own. I mean, what I would do was anytime they would pay me for my services rendered, I'd have them pay my corporation. So guess what? By the time that I actually went out on my own and started getting my own contracts with the government, I already had 5 years of history. So yeah, Jada, go ahead and start the corporation now, and you may have to become a consultant in the interim until you get the stuff. But being a consultant is not bad. Trust me. You get the same recognition for doing the work, but you put the risk on somebody else, and then also the responsibility is shared between you and another person, which makes it a lot easier when you're just getting started and you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of resources. All right, Jada, you have the book, very valuable. Wow, great, thanks, Jada. Yeah, I have no idea who has a book or who doesn't have the book, so I don't know. They don't. Amazon unfortunately doesn't send me that information, but yeah, it's worth $12, guys. I mean, come on, $12. It's not gonna kill anybody. Hell, in Miami, that's the cost of a half a drink in some places. You don't even a whole drink; it's a half a drink. All right, Marlon, I went to a conference this past weekend, just started last week. I'm a veteran-owned business. I remember you saying do something unknown to you. I'm kind of confused. Oh, we're trying to find that niche. Oh, got you. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, no, that's great. You went to a conference. Was it a federal conference? Was it like a federal conference, or was it? Because I know a lot of people go to conferences that are geared towards state conferences. But if one of the things that I encourage people is to go to a conference, but go to a conference that's focused on federal arena, where there's federal agencies. So those are conferences that I want you to attend, not just because there's conferences, there's conference for everything. But go to a conference where you're gonna find government agencies where you can actually talk to the people. Go to like the Corps of Engineers or the Department of State or Department of Homeland Security. You go to those conferences, and those are the ones that I want you to go to and start getting an idea of. Oh, Florida veteran. Okay, cool. Yeah, those are the ones that you want to go to and start learning about how this market works. To you, Flem, how do you become a consultant? All right, great. So I actually already made a video about 2 weeks ago on how to become a consultant. I haven't had time to review it and finish the production, and my guy is hounding me, who does all my video editing. So I do have a video, guys, by the way, on how to become a consultant, because of Charles asked me a bunch of questions on that, so I basically created a video just on that topic. So yeah, I do have that coming out. It's a really solid video. You guys are gonna love it. So yeah, I got a video coming out on how to become a consultant. Don't worry, I've got one that coming out because it's like I said, that is a question that I probably get. That's probably the one of the most asked questions that I receive is how do you become a consultant. So I created a video on it. All right. Triple three. Hey, thanks for going to help in Puerto Rico. Happy Thanksgiving, family. Yes, thank you guys. By the way, hey, just so you know, I am Jose Martinez. I have your book, thanks, and I read your recommendation on the richest man in Babylon, and you're following what you read. You're getting back, looking forward to doing that one day. Hey, Jose, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You know, I really do. That if you know, I think it was last week. People asked me what books to read, and I suggested Richest Man in Babylon. It's written many. I mean, I don't know, 100 years ago, 80 years ago. But the way that it's written, it still applies to the today. And so yeah, those things go. But speaking of Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I am going to be live on Thanksgiving. I don't know if we're going to do a whole hour, but I will come on. I'm going to try and come on and do a live session at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Thanksgiving Day for you guys out there. So if you have any questions, you let me know. Okay, to you, Flame. Okay, I live in Dallas, Texas, so who can get with after I start my LLC thing? All right. To you, Flame says you went to LegalZoom. Yeah, LegalZoom is legit. I mean, they're a national organization. Yeah, that works. In Florida, we use somebiz.org. I may, if people want, I can do a video on creating an LLC. I never thought about it, but if people want that, I can do that. Okay, Marlon says, I want to know besides your classes, is this your only form of mentorship? Yeah, at this time, yeah, I'm not. I have been approached by a bunch of people to provide mentorship, and so right now, yeah, no, I'm not. I haven't taken anything up on it. I I do have in the works some other programs with some other uh, entities, people out here that do training. So, we'll see what's in the near future. But right now, no, I don't do any mentorship. I just, for me, this is the highest and best use of my time is being able to serve as many people as possible. And I have actually been, yeah, well, get it from my perspective. My objective, and people have said, oh, Eric, you shouldn't waste your time with everybody because everyone's not serious. Yeah, but from my perspective, I don't know who's serious and who's not, and I don't know who's going to actually do the lessons and get the information. So right now, I think in order for me to structure even the best possible program course out there, it requires the input from the masses. And so again, if you guys keep, remember, everything that I'm talking to you about, everything I'm teaching you comes from input from users like yourself. So if you guys keep saying, hey, look, I want to know this, I want to know that, I want to know this, then I'm going to keep putting together that content, and then it'll get to the point where it'll be in such a strong format and so concise that you could basically follow this blueprint and make it happen, right? And don't you think that would better serve all of us? Because truthfully, if you go through my course and you go into our Facebook group, which is a private Facebook group we have, and let's say like right now we've got 27 people watching. So again, my thing is 5 million in revenue, right? So if the 27 people do 5 million in revenue and we're all in the same Facebook group, guess what happens when you have a project in Texas, or you have a project in Florida, or you have a project in Atlanta? You can call upon one of your people in our Facebook group and help that person help you put it together. And you have no idea that's already happening right now without me being physically there, right? So it's already taken a life of its own and a form of its own. I can tell you because I was on a call 2 days ago with a Facebook member that I partnered together, right? I partnered them together to pursue a contract over in Africa, and they didn't do it, but we spent time together. We went over the phone call, and he called me, reached out to me, and asked me to talk to them just this week, and he says that they were working on bidding another job in Africa, and based on what I shared with them, they knew how to pre-qualify themselves and make sure that they had everything in place so that they could partner together. And so this is so it's already organically kind of taking its own form of mentorship. And that's my intention, that's my goal with the group, is that, if we all have the same knowledge and the same information, that collectively we can help work together. And I mean, we could beat these guys. I want to beat them. Like, I mean, I really want us to beat, these Boeings and Northern groups, and I think we can beat them. And I'm a firm believer that the only way that we can create change is by obviously creating wealth, right? So if you've got wealth and we've got money and our communities, then that's how we enact real change. So I'm not the guy that's going to go out there and protest, but I'm the guy that's going to sit back and give you guys all this free information so you can take it and start building up your communities and your families. And then, you know what? You can put in place the people that you want to put in place to make decisions based on what's in your best interest and the best interest of your community. All right? How to start LLC. I could do that. Thanks, Rico. Eric showed better than government school. Been there 30 years taking classes and acquisition and procurement. And Eric showed you more than federal government schools. It's funny that, Rico, you say that. You guys have no idea. Listen. Hey, LaShondra. Oh, LaShondra, how are you? Thanks for coming. Welcome. Rico just said something that was really powerful. You have no idea. I spoke in Broward, and the same thing happened to me. I had a person who actually gone through government contracting, and they were in my course, and they said I taught them more than they learned in school. Because I mean, I do it for real. Like, I really do it. I'm not taking a class. So you could be Marlon. No, what you're gonna do, Marlon, is go register for the. If you subscribe to my email, you'll get an email on the GovCon Giants. Go through the GovCon Giants training course. Once you go through the 12-day course, you'll receive an email about the Facebook group, and then we'll invite you in. All right. Yeah. All right. To you, Flames. Got my emails. Really great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You guys. Yeah. Thanks, Charles. I appreciate that. Taking care of them. All right. 333. You feel my passion? Yeah. Thanks. No, actually, that's, you know what, that's why I actually like the live session, because you can it's different than me sitting back and recording to a camera. Now, which your interaction, now you guys could see me as a person and who I am, and how I believe, and what I believe. So I'm telling you, I work with these guys. They're not that smart. I work with companies that do $150 million a year. They're project managers. They're senior project managers. They're not that smart. They're not smarter than anyone in this chat session, or anybody watching me on YouTube right now, or anybody who's going to watch this in the future. Thanks for yes, his book's on point, everyone. Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks, Marlon. All right, guys, listen, it's 7:07. I've got to get out of here. Let's reconvene back on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. For all those, I don't, but let's try and reconvene. I've got some other stuff I got to get out to you guys anyways. All right, guys, thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed today's session, and I'll see you on Thursday.